All right, so today we're going to read pages 49 through 55. It's always good to look at the questions ahead of time. We're just going to do the left side of the slide, and it looks like there's a vocabulary question here, so read that and try to answer the multiple choice. And then it says, provide a summary for today's reading. Curly thinks his wife is with who, but what does Lenny confirm? And I'm actually going to start on 49. Okay. If you remember, the men are in the bunkhouse. They literally just shot Curly's dog. The door opened quietly, and the stable buck put in his head, a lean head lined with pain, the eyes patient. Mr. Slim? Slim took his eyes from old Candy. Huh? Oh, hello, Crooks. What's the matter? You told me to warm up the tar for that mule's foot. I got it warm. Oh, sure, Crooks. I'll come right on in and put it on. I can do it if you want, Mr. Slim. No, I'll come do it myself. He stood up. Crooks said, Mr. Slim? Yeah? That big guy's been messing around with your pups out in the barn. Well, he ain't doing no harm. I gave him one of my pups. Just thought I'd tell you, said Crooks. He's taking 'em out to nest and handling them. That won't do them no good. He won't hurt 'em, said Slim. I'll come along with you now. George looked up. If that crazy bastard's fooling around too much, just kick him out, Slim. Slim followed the stable buck out of the room. George dealt, and Wit picked up his cards and examined them. See the new kid yet? He asked. What kid? George asked. Why, Curly's new wife. Yeah, I seen her. Well, ain't she a Lulu? I ain't seen that much of her, said George. Wit laid down his cards impressively. Well, stick around and keep your eyes open. You'll see plenty. She ain't concealing nothing. I've never seen nobody like her. She got the eye going all the time on everybody. I bet she even gives the stable buck the eye. I know what the hell she wants. George asked casually, been any trouble since she got here? Well, it's obvious that Wit was not interested in his cards. He laid his hand down, and George scooped it in. George laid out his deliberate solitaire, hand 7 cards, and 6 on top, and 5 of those. Wit said, I don't see what you mean. No, they ain't been nothing yet. Curly's got yellow jackets in his drawers, but that's all so far. Every time the guy's around, she shows up. She's looking for Curly, or she thought she left something laying around, and she's looking for it. Seems like she can't keep away from guys. And Curly's pants is just crawling with ants, but ain't nothing come of it yet. George said, she's gonna make a mess. They're gonna be a bad mess about her. She's a jailbait all set on that trigger. That Curly's got his work cut out for him. Ranch with a bunch of guys on it ain't no place for a girl, especially like her. Wit said, well, if you got any ideas, you ought to come into town with us guys tomorrow night. Wow, what's doing? Just usual things. We go to old Sussy's place. Hell of a nice place. Old Suffy's a laugh and always cracking jokes. Like she says when we come up on the front porch last Saturday night. Sussy opens the door and she yells over her shoulder, Get your coats on, girls. Here comes the sheriff. She always talks nice, and she's got 5 girls there. What's it set you back? George asked. 2.5, and you get a shot for 2 hits. Sussy's got nice chairs in it, too. If a guy don't want to flop, why, he can just sit in the chairs and have a couple shots. Pass the time and day away. Sussy don't give a damn. She ain't rushing guys through the kicking 'em out if they don't want to flop. Might go in and look the joint over, said George. Sure, come along. It's a hell of a lot of fun, her cracking jokes all the time like the one she says, I've known people that if they got a rag or rug on the floor, them Cupid doll lamp on the phonograph, they think they're running a parlor house. Clara runs the other house, huh? Yeah, we don't ever go there. Clara gets $3 a crack and 35 cents a shot, and she don't crack no jokes. But Sussie's place is clean, and she's got nice chairs. Don't let no weirdos in either. Me and Lenny, we're rolling up on a steak. I might go a set and have a shot, but I ain't puffing out no 2.5. Well, a guy's gotta have some fun sometimes, said Whit. The door opened, and Lenny and Carlson came in together. Lenny crumped to his bunk, sat down, trying not to attract attention. Carlson reached under his bunk and brought out his bag. He didn't look at old Candy, who still faced the wall. Carlson found a little cleaning rod in the bag and a can of oil. He laid them on his bed, and then he brought out his pistol, took out the magazine, and snapped the loaded shell from the chamber. Then he fell into the cleaning barrel with the little rod. When the ejector snapped, Candy turned over and looked for a moment at the gun before he turned back to the wall again. Curly been in yet? No. What's eating on Curly? Carlson squinted down the barrel of his gun. Looking for his old lady. I seen him going round and round the outside. Whit said sarcastically, He spends half of his time looking for her, and the rest of the time she's looking for him. Curly burst into the room excitedly. Any of you guys see my wife? He demanded. She ain't been here, said Whit. Curly looked threatening about the room. Where the hell's Slim? Went out to the barn. He was going to put some tar on a split hoof. Curly's shoulder dropped and squared. How long ago he go? 5-10 minutes? Curly jumped out the door and banged it after him. Whit stood up. I guess maybe I'd like to see this, he said. Curly's just spoiling, or he wouldn't start for Slim. And Curly's handy. Goddamn handy. Got in the finals in the Golden Gloves. He's got newspaper clippings about it. But just the same, he better leave Slim alone. Nobody don't know what Slim can do. Thinks Slim's with his wife, don't he? Said George. So this is the answer to the one question that we're looking for, where Curly thinks that his wife is. Looks like it, Whit said. Of course Slim ain't. At least, I don't think Slim is. But I'd like to see the fuss if it comes off. Come on, let's go. George said, I'm staying right here. I don't want to get mixed up in nothing. Lenny and me, we gotta make a steak. Carlson finished cleaning the gun and put the bag and pushed it under his bunk. I guess I'll go out and look her over, he said. Old Candy laid still. Lenny from his bunk watched George cautiously. When Whit and Carlson were gone and the door was closed after them, George turned to Lenny. What you got on your mind? I ain't got nothing, George. Slim says I better not put them pups so much for a while. Slim says it ain't good for them. So I come right in, and I've been good, George. I could have told you that, said George. I wasn't hurting none of 'em. I just had mine in my lap petting it. Did you see Slim out in the barn? Sure I did. He told me I better not pet that pup no more. Did you see that girl? You mean Curly's girl? Yeah. Did she come in the barn? No. I never seen her. You never seen Slim talking to her? She ain't been in the barn. Okay. I guess them guys ain't gonna see no fight. If there's any fighting, Lenny, you keep out of it. I don't want no fights, said Lenny. He got up from his bunk and sat down on the table across from George. Almost automatically, George shuffled the cards and laid out a solitaire hand. He used a deliberate, thoughtful slowness. Lenny reached for a face card and studied it. When he turned it upside down and studied it, both ends the same, he said. Now, the answer to was Curly right was here when George was talking to Lenny. Did you see that girl? Okay, I didn't see her. Did you see Slim and her talking? I don't know. That's just the way they make 'em. Here's some more about it. What was Slim doing in the barn when you see him? Slim? Sure. You seen him in the barn, and he told you not to pet the pup so much. Ah, had a can, tar, and a paintbrush. I don't know what for. You sure that girl didn't come in like she come in here today? No, she never come. George sighed. You give me a good house anytime. A guy can go get drunk and get everything out of his system all at once. No messes. And he knows how much it's going to set him back. Here, there's jailbait that's just sit on the trigger. Lenny followed his words admiringly and moved his lips a little to keep up. George continued. You remember Andy Crushman, Lenny? Went to grammar school? The one that asked his old lady used to make hot cakes for us as kids? Yeah, that's the one. You can remember anything if there's anything to eat in it. George looked carefully at his solitaire hand, put up an ace on the score rack and piled the 2, 3, 4 of diamonds on it. Andy's in San Quentin right now, on account of a tart, said George. Lenny drummed with his fingers on the table. George? Huh. How long's it going to be till we get that little place and live off the fat of the land? I'm going to stop here because now they're just going to be talking about their dreams. So if you can go back and answer the left side of the slide, and then have a good weekend.